everything we need. Do we need anything else in terms of overlay that you need to give me here?
I shouldn't. Well, I haven't.
No, track map isn't necessary at the moment. I only got a thing on left, but I don't think we need anything else.
I don't think so. I got track map. I've got my Twitch chat window handy in case anyone watches from my side, which is unlikely. It's there anyway.
Oh. Right, I've started streaming anyway, just with the intro screen for a minute or so, and then we'll go shortly. I'm just going to put a notice up on the website as well, quickly. Where is that? God, so much shit, you know. Oh, there it is.
Everybody's out on track. I count 24 drivers.
24. Right.
So we've had 2 no-shows then, if that's the case. The numbers are so jumbled.
McCoy and someone.
Yeah, I don't
know who the other one is. I don't know who the other one is.
But that's fine. If 24 is the correct number, then I can see them all. That was all I was driving at there.
And actually, Vrygor is there, and he's a reserve, so there's actually 2 more people missing than Cole McCoy. We'll just
be fine.
Yeah.
Someone's using a Lambo!
It's amazing. Nick Meado's my favourite. But,
Nick Meadow. Does he say Nick Meadow or Nick Meadow?
Nick Meadow, apparently.
Nick Meadow. Okay. I always prefer to get these things right.
Right.
I'm ready when
you're in the chat. That means we're live. Good. Right.
Oh, 25. Wycombe's just rejoined.
Ooh, okay.
Hopefully that doesn't cause us problems.
Alright, so I guess in about 15 seconds I'll do an intro and then you'll say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, and we now are up to 26 as Andres has now joined us, so we are only at a short one,
awesome.
Which will be Colonel McCoy then.
That's cool. Yeah, awesome. Cool, right. Gonna start in about 5 seconds.
Okay.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new season on a new game. This is the AOR PC GT3 Elite League. Not on Project Cars, it's on Project Cars 2. It's a new era for the AOR GT3 leagues. Finally, we have a new game, lots of new cars, lots of new drivers to get into here in the new season. Season 8 overall in AOR, but as I mentioned, it's first season on the new game. I am Fizzy, and I'll be taking you through all the action here today from the first round, along with the lovely man of King-Kodiak.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. Welcome to this opening round here at the Internazionale Enzo Gino Ferrari of Imola. Didn't get that quite right, but it was close enough. We have 26 drivers, a full grid. I think we have one reserve in, and it was Colonel McCoy that wasn't able to join us for this opening round. So Vrygor, speaking of which, there he is, has come to join us. I've been having a look through the field, and I am very, very glad to announce that we have got a very, very diverse field of cars out there. And not everyone jumped in the Ferrari, which was an early concern during the evaluation phases of Project Cars 2, but we have got Mercedes, Porsche, we have got some Ferraris out there, but it is a decent mixture of cars out there, and I'm very glad to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there are 14 different GT3 cars in this game, so that's a higher number, of course. They've added some cars since... they've taken a few out since Project Cars 1, but they've added even more than they've taken out. So, as far as I could see, 8 of those 14 cars are represented here in the league. So, still, you know, there's still a few cars missing from the grid, but 8 cars, decent variety, and as you said, there's been some concerns before the season that the Ferrari was going to be a little bit overpowered, but 7 drivers, it could have been worse, I guess, on that.
Well, the top spot was a Ferrari. Oops, as we just saw one of the Ferrari off into the gravel. This is just a practice session you're seeing. This is not the opening qualifying session, but it's interesting to see that it's a McLaren. It is this car here, Stu, that has the top spot, so we will see how that transpires. We have Stu, we have Jeff NL, a number of familiar names from Elite of seasons past. He is in the Mercedes. Vernax is in the yellow painted Ferrari. We have Morvik, who also rides a Ferrari. His red. Hester, that is a Mercedes. Correctly easy. He is chasing one of the M6s, in fact. Classens, Mercedes-Benz. We have got Perry Gronstra, also in the German mark. Popsu, Ferrari. We have Nismo. It's very tiger skin coloured Ferraris. That one. Rido 7105, the Pro Season Champion from Season 7, joins us in this session. Can't actually quite tell what car he's in. Let's see if we can get an idea.
It looks like a Ferrari.
It's a Ferrari.
No,
it is.
Yes.
Mickersby, also Ferrari. We have got Zabzi. Now that's not a name I'm familiar with, so welcome to you.
No.
He's in an Audi. He's in one of the few R8s. Tipple. Can't see what is he in. He is in the BMW M6. There is no M3 in this game, very, very sadly. That is an Audi of Maisie. That is calling in the pit road. Andreas Hayden.
Love that livery. Just thought I'd point that out because
the
a certain
Kaspersky one.
Giancarlo drives that in real life.
The Kaspersky Ferrari. Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's someone having a bad day.
What's going on there?
It wasn't Yorkie. Yorkie, the whole reason that I have the honour of commentating alongside the AOR god of Fizzy himself is because this man, Yorkie065, is on the track. As you can see, he is in an M6. So he's
Going very slowly. I don't know why he's going that slowly.
I don't know why he's going that slowly. We have One Tire, who I have commentated on a few times before. He's in the Ferrari. Adrex, it's out there. He is in the M6. That I know from his experience. Wycoms is joining us as well. He is in the Porsche.
Yeah.
Nick Meadow has
Yes.
the Lamborghini. Oh, the session has actually ended.
I'm very happy to see a Lamborghini. Just thought I'd point that out as well. I was really hoping for a Lamborghini in this league because it's just so beautiful to look at. And luckily there was one driver who saved us, Nick Meadow. Thank you.
I was going to go through the rest of the field, but as I say, that timer ran out before I got there. So we are now in a 15-minute qualifying session. And as you can hear from the exhaust spluttering, the noises are fabulous. Now, one of the major changes from Project Cars 1 over to Project Cars 2 gives the second commentator a little bit more bearing, you could say. You may notice on a Fizzy screen there is very little in the way of camera control. That is because I am the race director. I have the camera control, which is why the cameras may well change completely outside of... Well, they do change completely outside of Fizz's control. And you may have things... well, we can hope. We may have things suddenly pop up, such as the map, which we have there. We have the timing screen, which we'll be using very, very little. And also, if we so need to, we can refer to this, which gives us how much throttle and brake they're using. But crucially, it tells us which drive range we use, which in a lot of cases may be just ABS or none at all, I'm rather expecting. But we may well use that. Fizzy may request that I do that. I could also turn the standings on and off.
Please don't.
We can have the splits, but do the splits, which one sounds painful, but two, we found that didn't work awfully well when we practiced it.
I don't see the point of this because it shows wrong order and also just the top four for some reason.
Yeah. So we won't be using that. And the overview is that is the information at the top, which is actually quite useful.
It's very useful. It's a cool new feature for this game, really, that have made it. You know, it feels very esports focused, doesn't it? With a director and broadcast role, sort of streamlined for esports broadcasting. It feels like, anyway. Certainly, I don't mind really in this role as a streamer to. Certainly the graphic overlay on the screen is much more slick and. You only get information. You don't have to use sort of external sources to get that standings on the left side, which is good. So the only thing, of course, I'm completely dependent on you to control the cameras to my satisfaction. So no pressure.
Yeah, satisfaction may be one that we have to work on. Now, of course, I also get to control which camera we physically look at. We're, of course, looking at the trackside one. We can jump to cockpit, which we may well do at certain points. won't commonly use the chase one unless we have got like action on either side of the car that you can't see from the cockpit. There is where we will commonly be, or possibly that one. We will most certainly not be using that one.
Good old bumper cam from Ferris Gas one.
We're more likely going to be there or there. More than likely on the track side. Oh, that was very blurry for me for a moment.
Yeah.
That's a little bit unusual. We have everybody out on track at the moment. Now, one thing that I get a notification of is when there's cars close by one another. For instance, Iyaki here is within a few tenths of the car behind. In qualifying, we can't. We're told, whoops! Oh, he clanked the inside of Chugado a little bit too hard. Spun him around. He was well avoided there by the Mercedes behind. Now, unfortunately, in qualifying, we don't know which car is directly behind the one that we are viewing. The overview part, which is this element here, works properly in race trim, so we see the car that is directly behind the one we are looking at. However, it does not function correctly in qualifying. It tends to look at times as opposed to track positions. So, for instance, I don't know who that yellow Ferrari ahead or the blue Mercedes behind is. However, as the season goes on, we will learn who is in which colour car, and then by the time I've gotten used to it, the season will probably end.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's worth pointing out as well, actually. It's a very short season for this first season of Project Cars 2. It's only going to be 6 races, just like it was back in the first season of Project Cars 1 as well, a couple of years ago. Only 6 races, sort of just to test things out a little bit, see how the game works with league racing, make sure everything, we get, information to balance things out better, I guess, in future seasons as well. Many have referred to Season 8 as sort of a test season again, but of course for these drivers on track, it's going to be as competitive as ever. As you mentioned earlier, a lot of the drivers are experienced top drivers from previous seasons of AOR. A nice bunch of new drivers as well who have shown themselves as very quick in the time trials to qualify for Elite for this first season. And also worth pointing out that this is the top tier, of course, the Elite League of the PC structure. There are actually a record 4 league tiers on the PC for this season. It's only ever been up to 3 before, but now we got the AM League as well. Now the AM League, I don't know how you want to say that, at the bottom of the structure. It's going to be a short season, but I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun regardless.
We have some times on the board then. Our current poleman is this man, Vernax, in one of the tiger-coloured Ferraris. Our second place man currently is Johan, a name I'm not familiar with, so the top 2 currently in Ferraris. Jeff is in third, just coming over the line, starting a new lap as opposed to finishing one. I think the timeline's actually there where he's just crossed. It is indeed. So he's just been demoted actually by this man Stu. That's a McLaren. It can, in that red skin, as he flies off the road at Chugado, in that red livery, it can be mistaken for the Ferrari, but it's got a much deeper growl as opposed to the high traditional Ferrari screen. Very, very tight between particularly second and third, only a few hundredths in it. But still, a stunning time by Vernax and that Ferrari. He's a good 3 tenths ahead of the field at the moment. Jeff is currently 4th in the Mercedes with a 1:43.934. 5th is Perry Gromstra, the stalwart of the elite scene here at Apex Online Racing, currently in 5th position, coming to finish his lap. We'll see if his position changes. There's Maisie in the lead Audi. He is halfway round the lap, just coming through. If I'm reading my map correctly, he's going to... That's the Ravazza he's heading down, I think. Oh no, he's in the beginning of the lap, I beg your pardon. Yeah. So the orientation of the in-game map is completely reversed to the one I have on my other monitor here. So he's
so it is.
Yeah, so he's just gone through Toza. So he's actually just goes across the timer line, and he's actually a couple of tenths up on his previous best. Oh, a new pole time, I believe. Johan has actually jumped onto the top of the timing list, 1:43.2. 0.02 of a second slower is Perry Gromstra in the Mercedes. So there we go.
Incredibly close.
Vernax now demoted to third in his yellow Ferrari. So yes, the Ferraris are close to the top of the board at the moment, but as we're seeing, the times are rolling in and they're very, very, very close. that qualifying trim doesn't automatically translate into a direct race result. We all know chaos and anarchy happens at the first corner of the first lap and what have you. Trigado, relatively heavy braking zone. If you're just going to try and stick it 3 or 4 wide, it is not going to go well for you.
It is certainly not. We're watching Verningus at the moment coming through the Aqua Minerali section. 2 yellow Ferraris in a row. That's another thing, really, that we're going to have to try and get used to throughout the season. Which drivers are actually teammates as well, because there is a team championship along with the drivers' championship. I'm assuming that these 2 yellow Ferraris are in the same team. But yeah, in terms of, we're not going to pay too much attention to the team championship. I think we're going to have enough trouble really figuring out what drivers are in which cars first of all.
Indeed, yeah.
And another thing as well, looking at the driver list on the left-hand side, we only now get the 3-letter abbreviation for each one, which also could make it a little bit tricky at the start, at least, until we get used to that.
Oh, particularly with newer drivers. Yep. So let's see if Vernax is able to improve.
Oh, he goes P4, or was he P4 already?
He was P4 already, yeah. He's 8 tenths down, actually, on that last one, so he probably wasn't pushing too hard. He's dragging his teammate along with him, so maybe a bit of slipstreaming going on. I'm not entirely sure how strong a slipstreaming effect is here, because the straights are not particularly long. So I'm not really convinced you're going to get a great deal by doing that. Now, we have a new person that's jumped into 3rd position. It is another new driver. It's Hesto here in that fetching blue Mercedes. So it is Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari is our top 4. And I think Audi is Maisie, if I remember correctly. It is. So we have 3 different marks in the top 5.
It's a nice mix there, to be honest. I'm a little bit surprised to see the Mercedes-Benz doing so well, considering, like you said, the straights aren't too long here, and then I seem to remember from Project Cars 1 that the straight line speed was the main forte of that Mercedes SLS. Certainly Gronstra is doing very well, not so much for Maisie on that occasion. He is P6 in the session, but that lap has not gone well at all for him. So he's going to have to recollect his thoughts then and try and set himself up. How much time do we have left? 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Remaining. James has jumped into 4th. I believe that's a Ferrari he is in. It is indeed, as he's coming out for another run. Now, again, another change from the previous game is the fact that if you manage to start your qualifying lap when... Perry Gronstra has just said the fastest lap. He has indeed in that glorious Mercedes. So I had a notification pop up at the bottom there. That's how I was alerted to that. What was I saying? If you start your qualifying lap before the session has ended, and if your session ends during your qualifying lap, you are allowed to finish it. In Project Cars 1, as soon as timer hit 0, that was it. Your day was done. And there is your beloved Lamborghini I've just spotted. There he is. Just gone through the shot. Yes, there he is.
Love the Lamborghini. I also love the fact, that you can actually complete your lap now when the timer goes out, because that was one thing that annoyed me quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a few people, and myself included, you'd be on a very good hot lap, and you'd be within a few tenths of crossing the line, but no, denied. And that's a very lemony, that's a very lemon zest-coloured Lamborghini.
Yeah. I noticed, by the way, that Vernex went up to 2nd, so he has improved. He's only 500 of Gronstra, who, by the way, has had an absolutely blistering time, 143 flat. I was wondering, coming into this, if we will see a lap time in the 142s, because if anyone does a lap time in the 142s, they can officially be classed as an alien, I think. It's fair to say.
And if anybody anyone can do that, it's that man.
Yeah, exactly. Gronstra has proven himself as well in the previous seasons as especially fast in qualifying. Over 1 lap, he is very, very... Oh my goodness, what is Andrex doing there? He's clonked that curb at the chicane incredibly hard. I nearly went flying there. He was on 2 wheels for a second or so. That was quite spectacular. So, I don't think that's going to help his time, though. It's going to be heading into the final couple of corners now and presumably starting new attempt. He'll have time still for a couple of laps in this session. As Vernex has set the fastest lap, but it's not a 42. It is 200 ahead of Gronstra on a 43.040. Come on, 4 more hundreds, let's do it.
Unbelievable. Now, unfortunately, one disadvantage that sadly no game is ever perfect, that much we know. but sadly one bug we are presented with as commentators that does affect potential positioning, and unfortunately this does affect two of our drivers in this session. It is Andrex in the M6 that we saw bouncing off the curbs, and someone's had an argument with the wall in one of the other M6s, and the other it affects is Wycomb's in one of the few Porsches we have. Unfortunately, if they join the session after the session has begun, their times stay stuck at 0, and that actually means they set appropriate qualifying times, but unfortunately in the race they get stuck on lap 1. So we do not know what position they are in, and they get stuck at the bottom of our timing chart. So it is a bit of a shame.
So that's how that happens, that they joined after the session launched.
Well, Andrex and Wycombs were the only two to join after the session started.
That would make sense. That would make sense. Okay, I wasn't actually aware of that. So yeah, that's obviously a very, very annoying thing, because for all we know, Wycombs and Andrex could have a lovely 1-2 at the moment in this session, but so we wouldn't know about it.
Well, that was what we had in our evaluation race, because myself and Vizzy had a practice run at who was going to do what and what buttons I could press, etc., etc. And we actually found that one of the people that were listed on lap 1 constantly was actually the race leader. So it can actually affect, or it will affect, the positioning. We will see them as, like, in this case, 25th and 26th for Andrex and Wycombs respectively. However, they could be midfield, they could be at the top. And it then affects everybody that are actually behind them. The drivers see them correctly. It is us that, however, do not. So sadly, there's nothing we can do about it. And it's just something we have to live with.
Yeah, one guy who can do something about it is Mr. Nathan Bell. I'm seeing in the chat, one of the Slightly Mad Studios guys. So hello to you.
Welcome to you.
Bought that bug, so that's good. Would be good to have that fixed. What's going on here with that BMW? I think we can probably
a bit of lag. Oh, I think we've. I think.
Going on there.
Ouch! That's a very
Yorkie as well.
It is. I think we.
Also working on the game.
I think we identified which M6 has argued with the wall, as Vernux was going for a fast line towards the wall. We have less than a minute to go. So
Vernux is in the garage. Come on, he was meant to do 42 for me.
And Perry Gronstra is on a lap. He's just gone through Trigado Tamburello. He's gone through. He's backed off.
Oh, he's parked it. Just parked it.
So he won't be doing it. This then falls to James, I think, who has a rearranged Ferrari as well. So just looking at the front of that car, yep, he's had an argument with the wall. Qualifying is now done. So if you're on your lap, you may finish it. James is he's going to struggle to beat his time with the damage on that Ferrari, but we'll try nonetheless. Oops!
Oh, that's not the way to take that chicane, but he's clearly bought that. James, he's the highest placed driver in the session at the moment, who is still out on track. All the top 4 in the garage. So yeah, I guess we'll stick with James until the end of the lap. He's got 2 slow corners to navigate now before getting on the power for the long main straight. Well, that is the only long straight on the circuit, really. This straight is coming on to now. Has he done enough to improve from the P5 that he's holding at the moment? Only 2/10 of pole, as I'm seeing someone has moved up to 2nd place. Hesto, is that?
Hesto,
as
yes.
James has not improved, unfortunately, but Hesto up to P2 right at the end of the session.
Oh, look at that. He's actually managed to get in between Perry Gronstra. Bear in mind, Perry Gronstra is 27 thousandths off of pole, and he's got in between pole and that with 22 thousandths of a second.
Unbelievably close.
Oh, yes, just a tad. Who is still out there? Maisie in the Audi is coming around Ravazza. Can he improve on 8th position? 1:43.519 is his target time on board with the Audi. Actually, let's go there. He's backed off, so that's a no from Maisie. And Hideaki is crawling as well. He's had an argument with the wall. Somewhere around is Andreas Hayder, not a name I'm familiar with, so welcome to you in the Ferrari. Does he improve from 21st? Answer is he does not. So that is the end of his qualifying run. And Mickersby is done as well. So I'm assuming James is crawling. So yep, the counter will hit the deck, or they will retire, and that will signify the end of qualifying for round 1 in Season 8 of Project Cars 2.
Yeah, so you're seeing the qualifying order on the left side of the screen at the moment. Vernux has taken pole for the first AUR GT3 Elite League race on Project Cars 2. Unless Wycombs and Andrex has done something that we can't actually see, because they're still listed at the bottom, even though they might well have done a better time than that because of that thing we mentioned earlier on. But as it stands, Vernux is on pole ahead of Hester on his debut in the league. Very, very impressive from him. Gronstra in third after holding pole for quite a while. Johan, also another very fast guy, in fourth place. And here we are going to jump straight into the grid here for the first round of the season. I'm not familiar with how much of a countdown there is, but we will, of course, be running what we've done for the last few seasons as well on Project Cars 1, running the manual rolling start procedure. So we still have a bit of time to collect our thoughts ahead of the start of the race.
3 of the top 6 are new entrants into this league as well. So
yeah,
I noticed. So Hester, well, again, assuming that Andrex and oh, hold on a second. I just noticed something. So that's where Wycombs and Andrex actually qualified. 21st for Wycombs, 22nd for Andrex. That will be the correct qualifying position. However, we will not see their progress properly through the race. So the top 6: Vernux, Hester, Perry Gronstar, Johan, Popsu. Popsu's raced in a league before, I believe.
I don't think so, actually.
No, I thought I'd seen that name before. Perhaps it wasn't in, or perhaps it was in endurance racing more than. So there's actually 4 of the top 6 then are new names, as James is the last of that top 6, as mentioned. Stu, unless Stu's been known as something else.
Not the new name, I think, as well.
Yeah, I believe so. There's been a connection problem. That's what we're actually waiting for all the connection issues to resolve themselves. So for instance, you can see there is a gap where James was on our right-hand side. So that grid slot...
Or is that
no, but I beg your pardon. I'm reading the grid slots wrong. So I was looking at that white grid space behind the blue Ferrari there. There we go. So whoever had the problem is either disconnected or has had it properly sorted out. So now... there go the familiar countdown lights. We are, of course, ignoring them. And the parade lap will begin.
It's always scary when these procedures start as to whether anyone will accidentally move off the line.
Yeah, just fly off the line, yeah.
Not into someone, but yeah. We are now starting the manual rolling start procedure. All of these 26 drivers in the race are going to do full lap. In a relatively slow speed. For most of the lap they'll be running at 130 kilometers an hour, 80 miles per hour, I believe, until the formation point, which is, I think here is actually very late. It's after the final corner even, so it's at the start of the main straight. And then they'll be filing into 2x2 formation, and then as they come past the pit lane, the leader then decides when to put his foot down to start the race. So a lot of the drivers will be familiar with that from previous seasons. However, for the new guys, it might be the first time they're doing it. But so far, so good. I haven't seen any contact yet. No,
nor I. Of course, my screen is completely full of notifications saying car close to another, which is obvious, as they should be at this stage. I remember the first time I did this, first time I took part in a race that had this manual rolling start, I found myself just as nervous starting that as I did from a standing start. So, even despite the fact that you know full well that you're not going to fly off the line, there's still that build-up of tension. The adrenaline's kicking in, and you've got no immediate release for it. You're just sort of like, let me go!
That is the feeling indeed. I assume a lot of this be a bit mix of emotions, really. Some will be nervous, some will be excited to get the action going, some will be just very focused, and some might be a mix of all of the above.
Well, indeed, it's there's a lot of unknowns here. Of course, like I mentioned before, we have a decent array of new names in this particular league that we can only base their performance up to this point on time trials and evaluation races. We haven't seen their performance in a full, league race situation where there's points on the line. So we don't know. Not everybody handles the pressure particularly well. I can speak from a little bit of experience in that regard. I did take part in an AOR league. I managed to be a race winner and disqualified from a race in the same season. So I have that to my name.
So did I, actually. In a Formula Renault 3.5 league, actually.
That was my first. That was my first commentary. That was my first commentary, actually, for AOR.
And that was a disqualification that cost me the championship. But enough about that.
Moving on.
The drivers are now coming onto the main straight, lining up into 2x2. Lovely stuff so far. And Vernix on pole position will be the man to decide when now to put his foot down to start Season 8 of the AOR PC GT3 Elite League. It could be any time. Currently watching Johan on board on his front bumper. And it's always hard for the guy in P2 to react to the guy in P1 going, and here we go.
Oh, Hester was quick.
Pulling away. Hester, to be honest, considering he is in P2 and has to look left to see where the leader goes, that was a decent launch, but the guy in P3, which would be Grunster at the moment, is having a little look up inside, but it looks like the top 3 are staying, as they are Johan as well, keeping P4, but James in P5, a little bit under pressure from Popsu at the moment.
Not noticing any major gaps forming in this particular field, which would indicate that everybody has behaved themselves as well. Popsu there, was a tiny gap forming there between himself and James, but all seems to be working pretty well so far. I'm watching the stream of cars at the back, doesn't look like any major incidents, so we would expect the pack to be pretty closely compact for a while. There are several major braking zones that litter this track, so there could well be some attempts for the lead or any kind of overtake at the moment, but we will see. Look how close Johan is to Perry Gronstra. That Ferrari is all over the back of that red Mercedes.
Definitely is, and of course, you mentioned the braking zones. We got full damage enabled in this league, so these guys will want to be pushing hard and getting positions, but they also have to be very careful not to damage their car, especially at this early stage. You don't want to be carrying a big amount of damage and be forced to do a pit stop, because based on what I've heard anyway, most of the drivers will be running the hard compound tire, especially as the track temperature is pretty hot, and they should be easily lasting the full race distance. As Johan, it looked like he was very late in the break there, and it did go a little bit deep, actually putting 2 wheels on the grass, but he still managed to have, keep a decent amount of speed. And well, you mentioned that it was going to be close. Based on qualifying, it definitely looks like it's going to be close, and so far, after the first lap, the top 7 still basically inside each other, as Gronstra is still pressuring Hester on his debut here into turn 1.
Oh, that's deep for Hester. That's going to compromise him through Chicago and Tamburella. He has managed to keep that to himself. Perry Gronstra is a very, very wise and experienced driver. He will know not to push too hard too soon. That Ferrari of Vernas has not been able to sprint off too far at the moment, but looking behind, there's Johan again, keeping that pressure on the red Mercedes at the moment, and right with him is James in the blue Ferrari. If I just cut to him, there he is. But he has got Popsu right there in that Kaspersky coloured Ferrari. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 in a very, very short succession. Vernex now having the opportunity to try and break away, but he's not even a second ahead of the car in front of car behind him at the moment. So is he taking his time? He doesn't really need to do too much tyre preservation with these hard tyres. The softer tyres just burn out way, way too fast in this particular circuit, so the hard tyre is the only option available.
That was Popsu having some problems there with the staying inside the track limits, the Aqua Minerale section, but he's still hanging on to the back of this trainer, and it looks so clumsy over the curve on the chicane there. It's such a slow and awkward corner, that chicane, and the cars just concertina so much. Get very close together. Still though, no contact. Johan again, getting super close to the ground, just piling on the pressure on the Mercedes. That seems to be struggling a little bit in the corner. It's certainly the top or the 2 Mercedes drivers falling a little bit off Vernex at the moment, who has a 1 second lead as he stands. But you can see, is that Stu has had a problem? It was a 6-car train, but it's now a 5-car train.
Yeah, we've lost our Kaspersky coloured Ferrari. I'm not actually sure where he's gone. There he is. He's down. Didn't actually see the incident. He just magically vanished. He's down at 11th. So what I reckon he's done, he's overshot Ravazza, and there doesn't appear to be any damage on the car. It's so easy to do, but if he's locked up into Ravazza, you can go quite a long way off that particular segment. You're approaching it pretty damn hard. So that is what I reckon he's done. Vernax is now just about beginning to get a bit of a rhythm going. He's nearly a second ahead, and Stu's having to be careful, I think. I think he had a warning just pop up there.
Yeah, because actually on my graphic overlay, Stu's position number just turned red.
Red, yeah.
So somebody's got a warning then.
I think that is what the red indicates.
Interesting. Okay, so Stu's got a warning on his lap. That is good to know in that McLaren. Quite a gap up to the top 5, and he's got some pressure from behind. So it's going to be interesting. It's Yeah, there's a few trains forming, to be honest. Obviously, on my overlay, we can only see the top
it's got too
16
wide.
at the time. That's very wide, yeah. It could be a slowdown warning, actually, but it seems to be going at a good pace down the straight at the moment. Oh, that looks like a battle for fourth, actually. Johan was putting the pressure on Gronstra before, but now he's very much under pressure from James. Instead, those two Ferraris sort of stuck behind that Mercedes battle up ahead, as Hesto is still trying to cling on to Vernex, and actually on this lap he's done a decent job matching Vernex, still exactly a second off the lead.
So Vernex now using this opportunity just again to have a little bit of breathing space, but he's not pushing too hard. He knows he's got a long way to go. We're only on lap 5 of 34. He knows he's got a long way to go, and he knows he has some very, very fast drivers behind him. So he's just giving himself enough breathing space. He doesn't have to concentrate too hard on the defensive manoeuvres, so he can concentrate on taking the line he wants to take. And Hesto has got that Mercedes of Perry Gronstra all over the back of him. If you have the centered Perry Gronstra right behind you, you have reason to be nervous.
Yeah, that is definitely true. I mean, Gronstra is definitely one of the absolute fastest guys on pace, but he has had a history of getting himself involved in some incidents here and there as well, so you never know. That's sort of been Gronstra's main issue throughout the seasons, that is struggle to finish races, that is taking away the potential that he could have achieved throughout the season as a whole. So so far so good though, running in P3 at the moment, looking a bit down the field. Now Godfather a shift on screen at the moment in P10, just clinging on to top 10 position ahead of Popsu, the man who was running in the top 6 earlier on, and is now having to claw his way back a little bit. As mentioned, I can only see the top 16 at one time here, so I'm going to try to scroll down the graphic occasionally just to sort of give you an idea of what's going on. Obviously, we still have that glitch with Wycombs and Andrix showing at the bottom, even though they might well be higher up in the field somewhere. But yeah, let's now go on board with Popsu as we head into the final couple of corners. Popsu looking to the inside a little bit, probably just showing the front of his car in the mirrors. Oh, that's not going to help his exit. That's very much on the grass. That's going to be poor traction out of there. That's completely ended his chance, at least on this occasion, to get past Godfather or Shift.
Vernos has made a mistake somewhere. He's lost a bit of time. Oh, Hesto has that actually put Perry completely out of his stride as well. The two Mercedes side by side. That's going to give Johan and James an opportunity to really put the pressure on. Perry Gronstra had to back out of that, and that actually gave Vernos a bit more breathing space. I think Vernos has made a mistake because he lost about 4/10 very, very suddenly. He's now gained about a second and a half. Now that's Johan that's having a look on Perry Gronstra. Now James on the inside. Oh, that's going to send Johan wide, which it does. A bit of a counter nudge going on there. We get to the chase cam. We can see how close those two Ferraris are. James has got the inside line. And another... Oh, no!
Oh, my God, that's close again.
I think... Did James spin? No, he didn't. He managed to hang on to it, but that's Johan that's back in that position. Another red number is actually Nismo. He went way off at Pinatella, so that's not going to help him. I think he would have had a slowdown penalty as a result of that. So Nismo making it as a mistake there in that target-coloured Ferrari. He's actually got Maisie, the one of the few Audis in the race, has gone through in 8th position. Jeff, we see him just ahead of the shop. There he is in the Mercedes, keeping the pressure on Stu and Lee McLaren.
Yeah, God, that was some intense stuff between Johan and James, and all sort of started by Hester just losing the back end, and that has given Vernox a great opportunity now to pull away. 2.5 seconds now he's got, as these four guys are still very much going at it. Hester might be under pressure, I guess, from Gronstra, who seems to be getting a run up there. Not sure how much slipstream these cars are given at the moment, but Gronstra looks to be pointing his cars to the inside, but isn't quite close enough on this occasion to go for the move on P2. And that's an interesting line through turn 1. We won't mention that any further. Still a little bit confused as to what those red numbers are on Stu and Nismo.
Yeah, they seem to be stuck. It could be an impending penalty. Unfortunately, the race feed box I have at the bottom has stopped, so it's not giving me any information as to what that could indeed mean. I'm assuming it is a penalty of some description. I'm afraid I don't actually know what that means.
I guess if anyone in the chat knows what that means, then feel free to let us know. But for now, we will continue to speculate on that one, as we are still watching James, who is just following the group up ahead at the moment, and the gap It's increased a little bit, I guess, to Stu in P6, but not too much because of all the battling that these guys have had going on. You can see Jeff in P7 has pulled a gap on Maisie, who seems to be quite close to Nismo, actually, I'm seeing. Only a couple of tenths between those guys. Jeff now on screen in P7, trying to chase down Stu. That's a very experienced driver against a driver who is making his debut here today. A Mercedes versus a McLaren. We've seen some of those battles before.
There's a problem!
That seems to be problematic stuff in the gravel. Oh, one guy has completely stopped there.
It's Perry! Oh, he's having to wait for a spot to come back on. Oh, that's disastrous for the red Mercedes. We did hear he's now going to give himself a better line to come back on the circuit. There he goes. Should have done that quite a bit earlier. The benefit of hindsight. Down to 16th. What a disaster for the elite veteran.
It's just, I hate to say it, but it is classic Perry Gronstra. Driving extremely fast, but then getting caught up in an incident. It's happened time and time again for him throughout his time in these leagues. And obviously, it's always the same to see. We didn't see what caused it, though, really. There seemed to have been some contact with that Ferrari.
Well, I think because Johan is now down in 6th position, my assumption then is that Johan and Perry came to grief. Oh, what a dive on the inside of Tozer for the red Ferrari. Can he keep it ahead of the McLaren? He does. Jeff is now at the 4th. He's dislodged that McLaren as well. So we'll see if Jeff is able to make some progress as Stu is trying to get back into that position he's just lost at the Pinatella, but doesn't quite come off for him. So can Jeff now start to get into attacking the podium 3? But what we're also going to see is whether Hesto in 2nd position can close in on Vernox.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on, definitely. It's last time I looked it was 2.6 seconds, now it's 2.8. Well, it's fluctuating a little bit, so it might as well be a bit closer depending on what corner they're at the moment I'm looking. But still on Moby. Johan also now has a bit of a comeback drive. Obviously only dropped a couple of positions. He's gotten one of them back, but needs to get past Jeff and then find that time to get him back up to the top 3 as well, if he wants to continue his ambitions of getting onto the podium here in the first race of the season. It looks like he's got a very good run, though, out of the final corner onto the long main straight. Is he going to have enough straight line speed up in that Ferrari to catch the Mercedes? It doesn't look like it at all. That SMS is a monster on the straight. It's pulling away even massively, despite Johan having that slipstream effect, or a little bit of it, you would have thought anyway. Closing back up in the corner, though, but no chance for a move.
It did him absolutely nothing, which would indicate the Ferrari is probably better in the corners, of which there are a pretty decent amount of them in Imola, but those straights are long enough for the Mercedes. Oh, as Johan goes a little bit too wide on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. There's enough straights for the Mercedes to be able to deploy the monstrous engine under that bonnet, but he's going to have to work hard to shake off Johan, I think. So this is the section where Johan is going to start to fall off a little bit in between Tozer and really back round to the start-finish. Well, really back round to Trigado. From Trigado up to Tozer is the best opportunity the Ferrari has, I think, because there's most amount of braking goes on around there. A little bit at Variante Alta, but the corners are so quick that it's debatable how much advantage that Ferrari is going to get through Variante Alta, which they're coming up to now.
Yeah, let's see how they navigate that. That's a big clump on the first curve there for you, and it seems to have got a really good exit, though, staying within the track limits as well. And this is really... Look at this! It's ridiculous!
That's monstrous!
He doesn't have a chance. Jeff still feeling the need, though, to go defensive there. Maybe feeling that Johan might have taken the opportunity to dive if he had gotten it. But now I expect we'll see a similar story. Johan is very, very close onto the straight. But if the previous lap is anything to go by, you can see it already, Jeff is going to pull away. And this means that Johan is going to be incredibly frustrated, because he really has to find somewhere else to make that pass. He has to somehow surprise Jeff through one of the sections with many corners. But that's, of course, very, very difficult as long as Jeff just keeps his line, keeps the racing line, and doesn't lose too much speed through the corners. He's just showing there to Johan that is definitely not the corner we're going to pass. And I don't think that's the type of corner where he would pass either. This is, of course, where he passed McLaren earlier on, and he might think about it as well. Took a slightly tighter line, but Jeff saw it coming, turned in nice and early, covered him off, and still Johan has to sit behind, stare at the rear, and know that Mercedes a little bit longer.
Johan's going to have to be careful. You're seeing a few times where he's actually pushing that a little bit too hard and going 4 wheels off the track. That sort of thing will bite him, unfortunately, if he keeps doing it. As you can see, Johan has got the pace in the corners exactly as we saw, but just cannot work his way past that Mercedes. But it's interesting that Mercedes hasn't really closed in much on the positions ahead.
Yeah.
That just shows you how much he's having to concentrate on the... Oh, too deep!
Oh, there's a bad exit though.
Too deep in the Variante Alta.
Side by side. Coming down into the final couple of corners. Will he be able to stay there though? As no, Mercedes pulls back ahead. Johan has to make this move on the brakes. And again, Jeff defending the inside line. Johan is going to try to go around the outside. Is he going to be left room? Yes, just about. Can't see if he stayed on the track there. But he's still on the outside of the Mercedes.
Oh!
On the main straight. What a move. Double around the outside of those two corners. Incredible stuff. But is the Mercedes going to get back past him here with a straight line speed? He's moved to the inside line. And look at that. In the space of a few seconds. Johan has no chance to defend, and he might even be overtaken there by the McLaren of Stu. Again, he's going to be forced to go defensive, moves back over to the racing line there. Luckily, Stu didn't try to go around the outside, and somehow, after all of that, they are still in the position they were originally.
Yeah, you could just feel Johan. He knew he had no answer. The start from straight is so wide. Oh no!
My goodness!
Is that Nismo? It is. It's Nismo has got it all wrong at the Villeneuve chicane. He's lost a whole bucket load of time. There you see Godfather of Shift is actually leading a bit of a train in that Porsche. That is Maisie in the Audi. Popsu in that Ferrari. He's not been able to gain much time from that earlier mistake. That's Yorkie in the lead M6. BMW's not having a particularly good time here. There is the lone lemon Ferrari, a Lamborghini, I beg your pardon, of Nick Meadow. Gives an opportunity. And we have our first pit stop. And there it is. It's the minty flavoured M6 of Tipple. So Tipple...
That can't be scheduled. Lap 10 out of 34 here. It's an hour-long race. We have not
thought it was damaged. It doesn't look particularly damaged.
No, it's visually seems quite fine, I must say. But I can't see any other reason why he would go into the pits if not for damage, unless he somehow managed to underfuel the car.
Well, it's possible, but the only thing I can think of is because the pit lane entrance is on the exit of, well, it's exactly where we see here. Unless he's gone Rivazza so horribly wrong, he's accidentally gone into the pit lane. But you'd have to go so horribly wrong and just not bother to correct it for that to be the case. Now,
I think Nismo might have had a problem, by the way. I saw him dropping a couple of positions there. He's now behind Yorkie, who's moved up into the top 10. But we are again looking at Johan and Stu side by side into the first corner. Same story though as last time. Johan defends, but I'm sure that Johan, in his mind, definitely would rather be on the attack on Jeff there. Instead, he's been forced to worry about McLaren behind him. And this is the view then that will be frustrating Johan. He has done it for the last few laps and he's still doing it. Looked like a bit of a slide, actually, for both of the drivers. But
that could have been lag, admittedly, but it did look like the Ferrari got slightly out of shape. It would explain why he's not been able to gain anything on the Mercedes ahead as they come back through Pitotella once more. So let's have these guys seem to be settled into their particular race. Let's have a quick check-in on who is where, as much as we can see where everybody is timing-wise. There is our race leader, Vernat, who has been pretty unchallenged for a while. He's lost a couple of tenths on second place, the lead Mercedes of Hesto, but again, it's very nip and tuck. That I've been keeping an eye on that timing gap.
Oh, by the way, I think we have a battle for 8th. The seam on the timing used to be side by side, actually. Oh no, not quite. That's Maisie though. Very close ahead of Popsy. They were both 18.1 off the leaders on my timing, so I was expecting a side by side there, but it didn't work.
Nice. And Popsy is right there. I think Nismo's had a trouble somewhere. I think you spotted that earlier, Vizzy, where he fell through the order a little bit. Oh. He's got that is Clarkson, so that's not a name you expect to see towards the back end of the pecking order. And there is Perry trying to recover from that spin, that disastrous turn, go through Rivazza we saw a few laps ago. there is Groby in the Porsche. He is under a lot of pressure by Hideaki. That is 14th and 15th position. Zabzi, on his debut in the Audi, is in 16th position, holding his own. There is Nick Medio in the Lemon Lamborghini, finding himself in 17th position. Raigor is in that Merc.
I know. I think I saw your Y-coms between them, actually. So,
I've just realised that. There's a Porsche we didn't allocate. Yeah, so well spotted there, Fizzy. So that actually puts Y-coms. Where did we say that? Actually puts.
Wait, is it?
Oh no!
That's
That's Nismo. That is Nismo falling through the field.
Oh, he's having a disaster these last few laps.
Oh dear, he's now down to 18th. Or suspected 18th, that's actually 19th, I think. The only person I hadn't spotted where he was this man, Andres. Oh, that's where he is.
Oh, he's right ahead of the White Ops, actually. Yeah. So those two guys we can't see on our timing are actually right next to each other on the track, and that would be...
That's right behind Nick Meader. That's 16th, 17th, 18th. And Tipple's out of position there. He's actually a lap down because he pitted from last position in that minty-coloured M6. So he's actually a lap down. He's obviously still deemed as technically 24th. I can't help but sort of get that little bit of a I love that noise when that exhaust bang goes off. I enjoyed it on our first outing. I still enjoy it now. So our top battle is right up here. Is yet again is you, and they've dropped Stu in that McLaren, and still these the Ferrari and Mercedes are still at it.
Yeah, Stu has fallen off. I think that's more of the case than him probably having had a poor couple of laps than these guys having a good couple of laps, because they are still falling off compared to the top three, these two. But Jeff, I must say, is doing a really good job, obviously helped by that straight line speed of the Mercedes. But you would think that when a car has that much straight line speed, it will be quite tricky to handle through these corners. But Jeff, at the moment, isn't putting a foot wrong at all. Is just keeping his line, is just driving his race and leaving it up to Johan to make something happen, which he did, to be fair, when they went around the outside him earlier on, even though the straight line speed there was still too much to handle. But it's not Jeff's concern to make Johan go through. He just wants to stay there. If Jeff could finish P4 in the first race of the season, I'm sure he would be ecstatic with that, considering where he has usually been in past seasons.
So Johan continuing to hang on to the back of the veteran as they come through Echo Minerali once more. The next battle we have in line is Maisie, who has got Popsu right ahead of him. So that is Ferrari Audi.
Popsu gotten through then.
So basically what we're seeing here is the close battles, it's not two of the same cars. So for instance here, Johan and Jeff will be stared at repeatedly as Mercedes Ferrari. Here we have Popsu, Maisie.
That's a jump.
That's going to hurt. And Godfather of Shift is also in their message, so that's Porsche, Ferrari and Audi. So they're different marks in there. We have Claessens, that is pretty close to Perry Gronstra. That is a pair of Mercedes, so there's your first battle. There's actually two of the same.
I wonder if they are teammates, actually, because they are both in the same car and they have been teammates before, so that could well be a team, although I'm not going to confirm anything on that because I haven't actually looked.
No, nor I. I think the driver allocations have been shuffled around quite a bit, so I'm not sure if the team allocations have been properly sorted out yet. So here's another battle. It's 13th position between Hideaki and Groby, so that is Porsche and Audi. So basically what I'm getting at, it's great to see that each mark seems to be able to really hold their own against a different mark. There isn't one runaway, whoa! Although Johan's car is running away from him. I was wondering if his tyres are beginning to give up. I'm not entirely sure how long the hard tyres last for, but he's been stuck in that dirty air for so long now.
Yeah, well,
it must be making a difference by this point.
It's hard to say, really. According to one driver I spoke to before the race, the hard tires barely wear off at all. Which is why, I would have thought it's an easy zero-stop race, and can't see why people would have gone into the pits for any other reason than damage. But you never know. Obviously, tire temperatures is a big thing as well. Dirty air might affect that, and obviously the tire pressures will affect that. Oh my goodness me, that's even a bigger jump than we saw from the Kaspersky Ferrari on the previous lap. And still seems to have gone a decent exit, but of course, exit doesn't matter for Johan at this point. It's all about the entry to the corner and somehow making a move into the corner rather than out of it.
The speed differential of that Mercedes is just insane. absolutely mad. I mean, I expected there to be... You always expect the lead car to have a little bit of an advantage initially getting off the gas, but it almost seems like he would just carry on going. If he was on a long enough straight, he would just carry on accelerating to the speed of sound. He just doesn't seem to want to stop. You hadn't wanted him to stop, obviously, but yeah, that Mercedes has got a lot to defend with.
Yeah, definitely. And as long as Jeff, really, what Johan needs is Jeff to like make a proper mistake here, have a big slide or something, so that he can get enough of a jump to not get caught on the next straight. But at the moment, he is very much struggling. Is he going to go for the inside again? Again, just looks for it, but Jeff brakes late enough for him not to have any chance at all. So I'm quickly going to point out, actually, looking at the scoreboard, we have 23 cars remaining in the race, which means we have lost 3 from the start of the session, and I know 2 of them, Morvik and Tipple, unfortunately both in the Twitch chat, which means they are clearly not in the car anymore. So I'm not quite sure what's happened with you guys. If you want to tell us, then feel free.
I wonder if Morvik was the one that had the connection problem right at the beginning. So that long delay is basically where the game is trying to find where everybody is. And if someone has unfortunately disconnected or the game has crashed, unfortunately you just get that really, really long delay. And Tipple has unfortunately retired from this race, deciding enough's enough and parked it. But welcome in the Twitch chat nonetheless.
Interesting thing on my timings at the moment. We got the guy in P7 19.4 off the leader, but the guy in P8 is 19.3 off the leader. So not quite sure how that works.
Well done. Yeah. Yeah. No matter on every update, Godfather of Shit is somehow further behind than the person behind him. Impressive. But he is, Popsu is hanging on to the back of that Porsche. He's not been able to do anything there. And, just in the background, it was amazing. And we have another pit. It's Clarson's.
Oh.
So I'm notified immediately by a pit indicator. I think you see the same thing when that pit indicator come up.
Yes, I do. Yeah. So that's interesting. If Morvik or Tipple, obviously you guys have been practicing for this race. If you could give us some inside information here as to how the tires behave. Oh god, that was a very quick pit stop as well. Do the drivers... are the tires going to be any problem at all? Obviously, there is a choice between running a soft tire and a hard tire. I was told that the hard tire was the best because of the hot tire temperatures, but maybe some guys are running the soft and are struggling with tire wear. That could be the case, of course. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at the moment that we are seeing 2 guys pit, but the fact that we only have seen 2 guys pit might mean that it's not... going to be the regular thing to do. I guess we'll get the answer over the next couple of laps, as we are now basically at the halfway point.
We have just lost another. Unfortunately, I can't tell who. Because we don't get an indication. I just literally saw it blink, but I didn't see who the name was that has vanished. As Nismo. Nismo's gone. We only have one red marker. So Nismo, we saw having terrible trouble in his yellow Ferrari. As we see, Johan really keeping that pressure on. But as we'll see yet again...
I really feel for Johan there.
Yeah,
I really do, actually.
You can't help it. We've been looking at him for quite a while, but it's the same story. He reels the Mercedes in, and then the Mercedes runs off again. Reels the Mercedes in. It sounds awfully reminiscent of real-life Formula 1 as well, in some respects. Not necessarily with Mercedes being reeled in, but you have that same... Oh, Johan didn't go through Trigado particularly well. But that same concept where someone is quicker in the corners but just can't quite overcome the car in front that's better in the straights.
Yeah, you can just see, like, Johan is... I'm not going to say driving better because, obviously Jeff might be restricted in his corners because of the car, but, if you put that aside, Johan is clearly driving faster through these corners, and, like, he's doing pretty much everything he can to get close to Jeff, but he just can't make the move stick as long as that Mercedes has that advantage that it has once they put their foot down on the gas. So all he can do really is just keep putting the pressure on, and obviously the more pressure he puts on, the higher is the chance of Jeff making a mistake. But halfway through the race and Jeff has not blinked once, it seems.
Pops is still hanging on to... He's actually on the back of Perry Gronstra now, so Perry is now back inside the top 10. Whoops, as Popsy dips a wheel onto the outside of Aqua
That's
Minerale.
not the correct line. Thought I'd just point that out for anyone who always won.
So that's enabled Perigonzo to actually break away from the Kaspersky-coloured Ferrari. Hideaki is still right with. That's actually Groby directly ahead. He's going to have a look on the inside at Rani Alton. No, he's decided better on that. Those curves are vicious at that particular chicane, so we need to think twice before trying to jump over them. And Mickersby is in a pretty decent battle with his own teammate, or a similarly coloured Ferrari. And that is actually Orlilo 7105 directly ahead of him. So that's 16th position they're battling for. Those are your main battles at the moment. And the leads just dipped back under 3 seconds, but I'm sure Vernex has plenty of breathing space to make a mistake if that happens, and not feel too big a consequence of it. So that gap now just working his way back up to 3 seconds between him and Hesto. Got to hand it to Hesto for his debut race. He is having a stunner. Actually, two of the top three are indeed newcomers to this league.
Yeah, so we're looking at 2 debut podiums as it stands. Vernex, that gap 2.7 still. That's very consistent, the gap between Vernex and Hesto at the moment, running both very, very strong pace at the moment. James as well looks nailed on for P3, and as something drastic happens, and Johan keeps taking that line. Might have to have a word with him about that one, because he's going way off the track on the exit of Aqua Minerale lap after lap, as far as I'm seeing. That's a big hunk of the curve again. He's just really he's probably a sign of frustration, really, that he's going a little bit off track here and there, just trying to do everything he can to get himself close enough, but nothing seems to be working at the moment for him in this battle with Jeff. Just trying to look down the timing to see if there's any other particularly close battles, potentially for 12. Groby and Hideaki might be relatively close together through the chicane there. Yeah, indeed, the Audi basically pushing the Porsche through. I'm not sure how these cars match up on straight line speed. Let's have a look then. Hideaki chucking in underneath. Will Groby go defensive there into the final couple of corners? He will not, but he's leaving the Porsche a little bit wide. That is bit of door banging as well. Hideaki taking that inside line for the final corner. Groby forced to back out of it. That's why Hideaki runs out wide on the exit. Did he get a good enough exit there to fight back? I think Hideaki has gotten that move done for 12th place.
Yeah, firm but fair. It's he piled the pressure on, and Groby unfortunately just overshot his braking point, allowed a little bit too much room, and couldn't recover in time to keep the Audi behind. So that is Hideaki up in place. Claessen's now beginning to try and make his way back through the field. We know he didn't stop for any tyres. He just seemed to almost like he did a stop-go penalty for half a second, bizarrely. So maybe Claessen's wanted an extra bit of challenge. He's now going to have a look at that is Mickersby and Rito in their 2 Ferraris. He's nailed one of them. Did wonder for a second whether he was going to try and jump past Rito on the entrance to Trigado, but decided against it. But God, that Mercedes is just frighteningly quick. Oh, you had goodness me.
As well. We are used to seeing this, but I thought I'd just point out as well, actually, as we were watching briefly there the battle for 16th position in the race, and that is a point system, of course, same as last season. I think some of the points towards the top end of the scale have been adjusted slightly, but it's still the top 16 in the race that will score championship points. So the battle for 16th is a battle for 1 championship points, and it goes up from there, obviously. As I see on my score that Groby has dropped down. Oh my goodness me, that's massive damage to the front of that Porsche. And to the rear.
Yeah, so he did. Well, I think he had a little bit of rear damage to start with, but I would suspect he's going to come into the pits. He may well retire as a result of that damage. And those points you mentioned, Fizzy, are very, very crucial on the short season that we have. Goodness me, yet again, Johan getting all out of shape. Goodness me, we've lost Worn Tyre. We have lost Worn Tyre as well. I've just, because he just messaged me, it's the only reason I spotted that. So it's difficult to keep track of this many drivers just by the without any clear indication that someone's gone. So another fatality of this race. So 22 drivers still going. Johan is determined to claim that 4th position from Jeff, but track limits were reminded to the drivers. You must have at least 2 wheels within the white lines at all times. So maybe some words said to some of the drivers on it. game may not be too consistent on the penalties. Oh, and there's Groby coming into the pits. Not surprising.
Yeah. Well, this time I understand why he's coming to the pits, unlike the other two.
Yeah, indeed, and sadly he's going to be there a while. He is going to be plumb last. Of course, our timing shows these two as last, but actually we've got no one else near them, so we don't know what position they're in.
Yeah, so that's a good point, actually. We are watching the battle between Andrex and Wycombs. They are going side by side now for position X in this race. We have no clue where they are. These are the two guys that don't show up, but they're going side by side. Some good battling. They're a bit of wheel bang, but I think it's all fair at the moment. Wycomb's going to have the outside into Aqua Minerale there. Andrex trying to hang on, keeping the speed through the corner, forcing Wycombs to back out of that, whereas they come up the hill now. And towards the very slow chicane, Andrex flashing his lights in celebration, I think, to hang on to that position.
Or maybe he knew we were watching him, so he's actually saying hello to us.
Yeah, he might be watching the stream at the same time, in which case, pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. We've lost Groby. We've lost Groby.
Yeah.
And that was completely
really there. Yeah.
Because we're still fighting his teammate for 16th position, or 16th plus or minus possibly 2. Due to Andrex and Wycombs, and he's a rookie then. Still, Johan is battling. You see in the background there, that is Stu in the McLaren. He's the Maisie's just had the red mark put on him.
Oh,
so I wonder if he's just earned himself a penalty.
Oh, and Popsu as well.
That seems to
and
be.
He's dropped behind because Popsu was up to 8th earlier, ahead of Maisie, but he's now dropped a couple of positions again. It's Grunstrace between them now, up to 9th again.
Where is Grunstrace? There he is on track. What has he got? What's he got ahead of him? 2.3 to Maisie. It's where the that top graphic now works correctly, giving you a relative for the car in front and car behind. So he's 2.3, 2.5 to between himself and Maisie for the next position. There you see Maisie in the Audi, and he's got himself 1.7 to Popsu behind. Yeah, the field has pretty much settled into their rhythm, but what we tend to find, what I've seen before in the GT3 leagues, is you have situations where for a while the field settles down, and then right at the end you tend to have really nice clumps of action going on. So we'll see what's what there. Our fastest lap holder is not actually our race leader. It is actually the man we are looking at, Mr. Perry Monster.
Yeah.
Just
on his charge. What are the laps out of interest? I can't actually see these.
Well,
I can see is that the previous laps on the results thing there?
I thought it was their best lap times. Oh no, big button.
It might be the best.
Oh no, big button. He's actually their last lap time. So no, that was actually completely wrong. I actually thought that was their best lap time from the middle. So no, I actually don't know what. It shows
though that Grunster is definitely on a charge if he's got a good last lap. Although, Vernix has done a 44.5. Actually, if someone could confirm whether that is actually the last lap or not.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is actually last lap as opposed to first lap, because Perry Grunster's lap actually dropped down to 45.0 last time around.
Sure.
So my mistake there. Apologies. Actually, interestingly, Johan has fallen off the back of Jeff. So has Johan's tyres begun to give up, or has he made just a colossal mistake somewhere? Like that.
Speaking of, well, it wasn't colossal, but it wasn't quite how we would have wanted to take that corner, I believe. Still doesn't lose any speed. I was surprised, because I believe the penalty system is meant to be on, but I'm surprised that it doesn't give the drivers any slowdown warnings there. That's the way I thought the system was working. Certainly when I was practicing by myself a bit, I haven't driven too much myself so far, I must admit. But
we have had some server problems, so perhaps that has inadvertently been left off. We don't entirely know. And we have got a battle forming here. It's Rigor on the back of the 11 Lamborghini of Nick Mido. So, no!
Wait. Is that still Groby?
It can't be Groby. He's gone. His car surely isn't.
Is his car driving around still?
It's not Wycombs.
His ghost is driving around.
Well,
it was the same livery and the same visual damage. Yeah. So it must be his car. His car is just driving around without him. I think we have a self-driving car on the track.
That would be a problem. Well, I mean,
let's hope the self-driving car is sensible, at least, with where he puts it.
Well, I guess it could happen if the driver disconnects as opposed to actually retire. So maybe a game crash or something. But you would have thought the car would not carry on. Oh well, that's a slightly unusual one.
Interesting one.
I mean, Groby is not listed. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Vizzy. You have younger eyes than I, but I can't see GRO in the listing. The only G left, I believe, is Godfather here, who is up to 7th position in one of 2 remaining Porsches. That one very clearly is in the correct shape. So it wasn't him that we saw in looking very sorry for himself.
I guess it might be worth just popping back up to Vernux quickly, just to see sort of how he's coming along. He's done a 144.9 last lap, 144.940 actually. That's his lapping that AI car, which is all over the place at the moment.
That's got to be an A.
I'm just going to point out quickly, last lap 144.940 for Vernux. For Hesto it was 144.942. 2,000 separating them. Let's see what it is on this time around. Vernux improves to 44.6. Hesto does a 144.7, so slightly slower, but these guys are running.
No, it's 48.7. He lost 4 seconds, because you can see now James is right with him. We can now have a battle for that next. I think he got put off by that rogue Porsche, because there is that rogue.
It's lagging all over the place as well. I wonder if seeing the same as we did, that could definitely cause some problems.
Well, we've had it before, and you had this in one of the test races we did, where there were drivers you couldn't see. So, oh, James! Oh, he didn't hang around. He was seizing that opportunity. Yeah, into Tozo. Goodness me. Very nicely done. Very clean as well. And that's in the background there. That was Jeff and Johan. So it's nice to have a different battle at the front to look at, if I'm quite honest. But it's good that Johan is still hanging on to the back of Jeff after all this time. But can Hester do anything about it? Ooh, getting a little bit wide on the entrance of Aquaminarari. You can have your rhythm thrown off if you get an overtake done on you that you weren't expecting, or you have an instant like Hesto had or seemed to have with that back marker that just completely ruins your rhythm. It takes a while to rebuild that rhythm, get back into the confidence of your car. So we will see if he's able to recover that. But it does look like at the moment the Ferrari has the pace over the Mercedes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, James has done a good job to sort of keep the relative pace of the top 2, even though he was several seconds behind. So, oh my goodness! I commentate a curse him. I'm very sorry. That's a huge impact with the wall, just getting loose on the curb on the exit of the final corner. Big smack on the front for James. He's chosen not to go into the pit lane. Probably wants to stay out. Well, it's too little left in the race anyway, really. Might as well try to stay out and see what the damage is like. Try to nurse his car to them, but he's dropped down to P6 now after looking on course for at least a podium. That is getting for James on his debut race in the league. But still,
Johan's getting all out again. I wonder if. Also, there's another thing to bear in mind is how well these setups seem to be allowing these drivers to manage their tyres, and this is why I'm wondering why Johan is struggling so much. We saw, obviously, James just have a problem. I wonder if the Ferraris are beginning to eat their tyres a bit more, because that's two Ferraris towards the top end of the field that are really struggling at the moment. Johan, you can understand, because he has been stuck behind that Mercedes so long. You could probably count the flies on the tail end of that car by now. He's been there so long. But James has been pretty much minding his own business for so long. Maybe he got a little bit too excited that he's jumped up to 2nd position with that mistake from Hesto, and that caused him to make a mistake. We won't know that.
It's hard to say.
It is hard to say.
You actually stays on track. That's impressive.
Yes.
But still, no end for his frustrations with that Mercedes. Of course, this now is the battle for a podium position. It's even more important than it was before. Jeff will be laughing at the moment at being gifted a chance at the podium all of a sudden, because both these guys were way off the top 3 before until James had that mistake and coming out of the corner that these guys are just coming into now. And once again, nothing doing for Johan, who will be sighing extremely hard.
Here we go again.
The side of the straight.
Perry Grunstrait is getting very close to Maisie, so each time we look at Perry, he has been slowly reeling in the cars ahead. Maisie has got that Porsche rear wing right with him as well. So can Perry Grunstrait claim 2 positions here? I've also just had a message from Nismo that the tyre model is acting a little bit strange, which is quite possibly why some of the Ferraris are struggling, as it seems to be a little bit more specific to them. So this might be why some people are struggling more than others. Not necessarily discounting the Ferraris, the setups people using may be chewing the tyres a bit more than expected. But if the tyre contact model is misbehaving itself for the Ferraris for some reason, maybe someone thought, no, we can't have the Ferraris too OP, we'll make them eat their tyres a bit more.
Yeah. No, it could be the case. I seem to remember from Project Cars 1, at least at the start of the game, I was driving the McLaren now, and that was such a good car to drive, the McLaren 12C, as he was back then, as opposed to
the 650.
whatever it is now. 650, is it? Yeah, but the tyre wear was definitely a big problem on that. You'd get that massive wheel shake that is something I got on Project Cars when your tyres were absolutely worn out, and the wheels started shaking. I could barely control it, and that was the big problem with the McLaren. But yeah, I wonder if Ferrari might, because everyone's been saying that Ferrari is OP. I'm surprised actually that we only got 9 of them in the league, considering what everyone's been saying. 9 is still by far the most used car, but it's. But
it's not a complete.
Third of the field.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not a complete field full of Ferraris with a slight sprinkling of something else. We have got. We'll be coming up to 7 laps remaining. I think our leader is on lap 28. Yes, indeed. So 7 laps remaining of this particular race, and we are starting to see battles reforming. And we, of course, have this three-way battle: Maisie, Perry Gontra, and Popsu. Oh no, big pardon. It's Godfather of Shift, Maisie, and Perry Gontra. I'm reading the chart slightly wrong. Popsu is actually fallen off the back of this particular field. Now, this surely is an opportunity. That's the wrong camera. Oh, he's going to nail the Audi. Oh, is he going to get the Porsche as well?
Oh, he's going to go for both at the same time. Look at it, straight line speed there from the Mercedes again, breaking over though. That was a bit too close to the corner. Thought they might have gone for a double.
Oh dear! Big old tank slapper on the entrance of Chicago. He managed to hang on to it and keep Maisie behind him. Oh, Maisie having a look at the inside for Villeneuve. Decides better at that one. I'm actually really surprised Perry didn't go for that. He clearly had the speed. Maybe he wasn't certain that Godfather would actually give him the necessary room. I mean, Godfather was defending fairly. But I honestly thought Perry was going to throw that one on the inside. Maybe he wasn't confident he could slow the car down properly if he got there.
Yeah, and it's not going to help Ronstrom. Obviously, Ronstrom might even have ambitions to get James up ahead, who is now seeing, of course, it's only 6.5 laps now to go in the race on lap 28 out of 34, so time is very much running out, and you've got to wonder if James also has damage. You might have to keep an eye on that gap. There is less than 3 seconds now from James down to Godfather of Shift, with Ronstrom still behind. So it could turn into a potential 4-way as we come towards the end of the race, but yeah.
Another one that's another battle that's forming is your beloved Lemon Lamborghini.
Oh yes,
Mido is on the back of Hideaki.
Come on, Lambo. I will. I don't like to be, subjective in my opinions about who I cheer for in these races as a commentator, professional commentator as I try to be, but I kind of have to give a little out to the Lambo. I was hoping to see it on the grid. Nick Mido saved me. So
it's a shame. It's a shame it's the only Lambo out there. I do know what you mean. There are sometimes a car that you just have a particular soft spot for. Like Nick Mido went a little bit wide there at Ravassa, but continuing that push on towards Hideaki. Let's actually jump back up to this three-way battle. Oh, look at that. Maisie's actually falling off the back of it. It looks like Perry Gronster keeping that pressure. He's right back with the Porsche now. So is he now going to... He's not going to have a think about it into Ravassa, but that's probably not the strong suit of the Mercedes. We've seen how fast Jeff's Mercedes is. So we will see how that trans... I didn't... Oh, yes, we did see Stu. So I suddenly saw Stu ahead of James. We did see that, but the gap 5th to 6th is colossal. James is losing a lot of speed. There he is. He's been reeled in. Yeah. So there's... we did see that impact earlier on. There doesn't appear to be damage on the car, but there will actually be engine damage as it was a direct hit to the front. So that is not something we are going to see visually, although you would expect to see some bodywork damage. We don't seem to see it, but I would imagine there is definite engine damage there. It has gone way wide at very anti-alto. That is not... that will not sit well if he keeps doing that. It's all going to really be down. Can Godfather fend off that Mercedes? Surely not, but... yeah, we'll see.
No, Bronzer, don't do it here. Just wait for the straight. You're in a Mercedes for God's sake.
Let's actually get on board with Mr. Gronstrap. We saw how hard. He blasted past the Audi. He's going to do the same again on the Porsche. Surely Godfather of Shift knows he's not going to have an answer. Oh my god, he left that late.
Nearly turned into him as well on there. All is good. Porsche staying alongside it though into turn 1. Oh, and going a little bit deep as well. Just about managed to deliver him a bit of touching there, and somehow Grostra has not made the moves. The Godfather of Shift having none of that, breaking a little bit later and being just about forceful enough through the first few corners to keep that position.
Wow.
Really impressive defensive, actually.
Another battle. We are going to mention this man Johan again, but look who's right behind him. It's Hesto.
Oh.
So we've had a shuffle at the front with we hadn't spotted Jeff.
Problem,
Yeah, Hesto's had a problem because Jeff is now in second in his Mercedes with Johan right now up to third. So those two actually reduced.
Stu in the mix as well now.
Yeah, Stu is right on the back. So we've got a four-way chain going on here. We've got this battle with Godfather, and now James is right there as well. This could actually allow Maisie to catch back up with this. We've got less than 5 laps to go and 2 4-car trains going on.
It's just like you said, isn't it?
Yeah.
It always comes to life at the end of the race. We've got 4.5 laps to go, and that's a big slide there at the chicane for Godfather of Shift. Bronzer, surely that's a free opportunity for that Mercedes engine down the straight into the double left-hand complex.
Can he slow it down?
And there we go, defending just to make sure as well, and he does slow it down for the corner, and luckily for him there is a straight as well coming up. So let's see. I think it's more of a case now of seeing how much speed that Mercedes will gain on the Ferrari of James up ahead as we go down the straight, because he's actually already closer to the Ferrari than he is to big challenge again from
Oh my goodness, you could see the lack of pace that Ferrari has. Oh, he defended though. I mean, he's perfectly entitled to, but you could see how much pace James has lost. I mean, the timings alone tell you that, but that was a visual representation of how much speed that Ferrari has lost due to that damage at the front. Oh, there's been a change up here as well. Stu has fallen off the back of Johan, and Hesto's down to 5th.
Yeah, Stu's gone past Hesto. Hesto's having some unknown problems at the moment.
What a shame.
He's 3 things we haven't really seen that has dropped him down the order.
Oh, there's been a change here as well. That's going to be James losing to Perry Gronstra. Oh, he's defended it!
Defending with that potentially slightly damaged Ferrari. He's doing a really good job of holding on here, considering the amount of time that is dropped in the last few laps. And Gronstra, obviously this is not the best section for the Mercedes. He might just have to stay patient through here, but also be wary of Godfather Shift. He's probably looking to take any opportunity if he is offered one here. If Gronstra gets a poor exit. Let's see now how they navigate the chicane. Always awkward with those massive sausage curve on the apexes. And Grosser, a little wiggle there, I think, but still all good for him. So onto the straight. Chris, what will happen?
Well, I would imagine that James is going to be an absolute sitting duck along this start-finish straight. If we head onto the roof of the Mercedes, surely this is going to be a very simple maneuver. You've got that really weird grappling noise going on in the Mercedes. Yeah. And there we go. They haven't even crossed the line. And that is a move for Perry Gronstra then. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Godfather has a think about it as well on James heading into Trogado. No, not close enough. But what I want to check out is what's gone on up here. Johan has suddenly lost the person he was chasing.
What, Stu keeps magically gaining possessions. That's the third time it's happened now.
I forgot, who was it that Johan's been chasing all race long? It was Jeff.
Chasing Jeff.
Yeah, it was Jeff, was it?
First for 4th, then for 3rd, and then for 2nd, but now he's down to 4th, and he's dropped 5 seconds, or 4 or 5 seconds compared to where he was. So he's also had a mistake going on off camera. It's always obviously hard for us to catch everything, because we have no idea when drivers are going to make individual driving errors, so not really any chance for us to catch all of these, but Johan definitely has had some kind of issue there.
We get an indication, I get an indication of when groups are forming, hence I was able to jump to this particular group when it started to form. And such as this group that's forming now with your beloved Lemon Lamborghini at the front of it. There's Nick Mido now in 12th with Raigor trying to fend off Hideaki. Hideaki's lost 2 positions since we last looked at him. So there's that particular battle with Mickisby still fighting his teammate as well. And of course, not forgetting the we have no idea where they are too. of Hendricks and Wycombe's.
Still going at it. At least they're having some fun with each other, even though we have no idea what position they're actually battling for. Hopefully they at least know what position they're battling for. It would have been even more difficult if
just a tad.
Obviously both of them started quite far down, so I don't know if they're inside the points or not. We have a side-by-side here though, definitely inside the points. This is for 7th place at the moment. Godfather just trying to make that move on the slow-moving Ferrari of James at the moment, and that is also a pretty simple on the straight move for the Porsche this time.
Ooh,
and Macy close behind. Oh, that's lost him. I was going to say James going to be put under pressure from Macy. I didn't have time to commentate the curse him even before he made a mistake. And Macy now still a lap and a half to go, but I think with that gap, even if the Ferrari is damaged, I might be lost him another position.
Yeah, that's pretty much done. We haven't seen James being able to mount a challenge really on those around him. Again, you see the time, he's just last lap alone, he's half a second slower than Godfather, a second and a half near enough slower than Perry Gromstra, and even to Maisie, that's 7/10, although of course we've just seen him make that mistake. So I think James's race is all but done. Your next battle then is this one, 12, 13, 14, Nick Mito, Raigor and Hideaki. Although Hideaki has been struggling, it seems the Audis are now struggling with that grip problem, but Raigor is all over the top. Oops! As he was just, now me doing the commentators, because I was just about to say he's all over the back of the lemon Lamborghini, but he only overcooked it into Toza. But
we started doing some preemptive commentator curses now. This is the next generation of commentator curses.
It's evolved. Final lap then for this man who has been absolutely peerless all race long. He has started from the front and led the way all race long. He just has to crawl home to secure the opening win. He's actually coming up to the back of that's Popsu, the only Kaspersky colour Ferrari. Jeff is the lead of Mercedes then. With the exception of the lead, every other position has changed quite a bit all race long. Stu in the lead Lamborghini, so that the lead McLaren, I beg your pardon. So that is Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren and Ferrari as your top four. Johan is probably relieved not to have someone breathing straight into his engine inlay, but I'm sure he would rather be at the front. Hesto, who was second for so long, has struggled towards the closing stages of this race, finds himself in 5th position. Perry, after a disastrous effort in Ravassa, will begrudgingly, I suspect, settle for 6th place. Let's check where our leader is. He's heading up to Akira Minerali. Godfather, he's in the Porsche. Was some eventful overtaking going on the last few laps, but has had a fairly quiet race. James falling through the field at a pretty big rate of knots in 8th. Then Maisie in that very slippery Audi, it looks like, and rounding out the top 10 is Popsy. This is, of course, before any penalties that are applied.
Obviously. That's a good point, because 4 guys in the top 4 have that red position number, which we think might be a penalty. But let's see, as actually now out of the final corner comes our race leader. He's gone from pole to flag after getting that break early on. Vernex is going to win the first race of the AOR PC GT3 Elite League in Season 8.
Big old flash to the light celebration to yourselves, and why the devil not? 2nd place goes to Jeff, and he flashes the lights. He's happy with that. Stu in a pretty well-deserved 3rd place as well. Johan pushed as hard as he could. He comes home 4th. Hesto sure is a little bit disappointed, but will take that 5th place. Perry Gromstra, as previously mentioned, probably begrudgingly takes. Did a 1:44.0 on that very last lap as well.
Wow, what a lap that is. Good comeback to him. Fair play, at least for that part.
Godfather of Shift in the Porsche coming home 7th. 8th is James in that limping Ferrari. 9 is Maisie in the Audi. 10, Popsu, Kaspersky coloured Ferrari. 11. Oh, look at that, Yorkie!
Oh! Yorkie under pressure for 11th place, coming towards the line. The Lambo of Nick Mito challenging him. Does it have the straight line speed? Oh, it's closing, but I think they're past it now. Was that no? Is that the line?
No, that's the line. Yorkie braked too early. Yorkie gave up too early. Oh no, he gave up. He saw where the line was, but that's the start line, not the finish line. They're in 2 different spots. Oh no, Yorkie will be kicking himself over that one. So the Lemon Ferrari gained a position at the end, was gifted that. He's happy with that. Yorkie finishes in 12th. He's sat there in disgust. Raigor is there in the Mercedes 13. Hideaki is, I thought I heard someone hit the wall at the end. He's buried that Audi in the wall. in 14th, along with E. Claassen. He's had a horrible day in the office in 15th position. Garrido is still on the track, actually being chased, as he has been all race long, by Mickersby. Those two Ferraris coming home 16, 17. And there they come then. There is Andreas Hayder. Oh, pretty much haven't seen him all race long. Beg your pardon, that's the second Kaspersky Keller Ferrari. And Zasby is, I think he must have been a lap down, as he's buried out there somewhere. And the only two we don't know are these two M6s, which seem to be jumping on one another. What? Okay, what?
Of course. Yeah, of course, we don't know where Wycombs and Andrews are actually placed here. They're still showing us the last two for us. They might well be inside the points for all we know.
For all we know, yeah.
I don't think they're far inside the points, but we'll try to get an answer on that one before the end of the stream. Here, though, is the official results. You've gone through most of it already. 8 seconds the gap from Vernix out to Jeff, after Vernix basically was the only driver in the whole race to not have any sort of problems or battling going on whatsoever. Jeff, really solid race for him. Didn't make a single mistake to take second place. Do a debut podium for him. The only debutants who got onto the podium, and Johan Hesto in the top 5, Gronstra, Godfather Shift, James Maisy, Nick Miro top 10, Yorkie. Nick Miro top 10. So someone's been moved down with a penalty potentially.
It'll be penalties. Yeah, it will be.
Unsure.
No.
And not really sure.
And that 1:44.0 from Perry Gronstra was indeed the fastest lap of the race.
Wow! Right at the end, not bad. For him on 1 tyres, although low fuel. So yeah, we are back in the lobby. That's going to be pretty much not quite the end of the stream. That was the end of the race. We are probably going to try to get some driver interviews, are we?
I guess why not? Let's see who's wanting to talk to us.
Yeah.
Let's see who we can find.
Let's have a quick. Well, you can have a think about who we want to get into the box. Certainly Vernix, and then probably one or two others. I'm going to quickly message Wycombe just to ask where he actually finished.
Well, Vernix, interestingly, has his mic muted and speaker muted. So just message him to make sure that, obviously, there's no point trying to interview him if he can't talk to us.
Oh, that's a good point. So, do let us know in that case if we get a reply on that one. I guess P2 then, Jeff.
Yeah, we've got to have a word with Jeff, haven't we? Who's not in Discord? What a shame. I'd love to have gotten his response on how we've got to talk to Johan. Let's see if we can get hold of Johan.
Yeah, sure. He must be.
He's also muted, so see if we can get a message out of him.
Yeah. Is Jeff? Did you say Jeff is not here?
No.
Yeah, I can't see him either. So yeah, okay. So that's going to be tricky. Hopefully, Johan.
Vernix has opted not to come on stream with us. It's not mandatory, so we won't force them to do it.
We didn't really advertise it too much, so
yeah,
I guess.
To be fair, let's. I'm going to message Johan, see if we can get hold of him.
Yep.
So yeah, what a opening to the season!
It was quite crazy, wasn't it? For most positions, apart from Vernix, obviously, who
just ran off.
Kind of lucky break early on because of it was that little wiggle, wasn't it? Was it Hesto maybe in that Mercedes who had a wiggle while it was in second, just behind Vernix? He was holding on within a second for a while, but then had a little mistake. They dropped him a couple of seconds behind, and then he held up that train, and everyone started battling, and dropped even more time to Vernix, who was just allowed to run away with it.
It looks like most people we wanted have actually already left Discord, so we'll have to organise next time.
We're all being very shy this season.
Yeah, each to their own. So I think we'll make sure that drivers are aware that we would like to speak to some of them post race, as we didn't really mention it before this particular race happened, so we will make sure that people are aware. Don't run off, we might want to talk to you.
Yeah. By the way, can you remember if Andrix was ahead or behind of Wycombs?
I believe he was behind.
Okay, because in that case, Wycombe says he was 16th. So he gets the final points in that case, whereas Andrix, if he was just behind, he gets 17th. So that's resolves the mystery of where those guys were all right.
I mean, I'll double check with him, but I'm 99% sure. I mean, it was just, they were in the same piece of track all race long. For every time we looked at them, they were right with one another. So, it wasn't a great day in the office for them, but let's hope they have some better luck later on in the season.
Indeed. As Johan has now come into the chat. So has Vernox. Well done to you, man. Johan, I suspect you will be very, very frustrated, as you say. That bloody straight line speed of the Mercedes, nothing you could have done about it. You were certainly pushing hard through the corners, a little bit too hard in places.
Yeah, Johan is actually in the Ready for Interview channel, so let's grab him over.
Okay, sure.
Johan, welcome to the Combox. What a race for you. I mean, you must have been getting pretty frustrated being stuck behind that Mercedes for so long.
Yeah, it was the most frustrating thing I've ever experienced in racing, that's for sure.
Did you have a chance to count how many flies were on the back of the car by the time that you were able to get away from him?
No, I haven't counted them. There must be a lot of pickup from the rear tires of Jeff and the other Merc as well. So, yeah, next time I'll get him. That long straight killed me every time, every corner. I tried what I could, and the only opportunity for me to overtake on the hard braking zone, he defended perfectly, so I had no chance.
So there wasn't a case of, if I do this, I might be able to do it. It was just a case of hope he made a mistake.
I like the guys, so I don't wanna push him off or race. But I tried. I think in lap 23 or 24, I tried flashing my lights, and I saw that he reacted on that and made some slight mistakes. So I tried it a little bit more, and then it was a little bit more rubbing, and then I even got some more aero damage. So I was thinking, nah. I couldn't catch him, and then he made a slight mistake on the corner where I don't know where that was on the dip down. So I tried to go on the outside, but one wheel on the grass and I was off. So
you did of course go around outside him once.
Yeah,
before
once.
He just powered back past.
Yeah, the Merc speed. Oh, next time I'll make sure I add some little bit more horse to that Ferrari because I can't win this. So great job to the 1, 2, 3. And the rest was awesome racing, and like you said, it was frustrating. But next time I'll make sure I get pole and do the same mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Just make sure you get pole, and then don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Still, I guess a solid start to the season at least. A nice chunk of points to set you on your way. So, what do you aim then for the season ahead? Are you going for the title or?
Of course, I told the other guys as well. I'm not coming. Trying to get second because that's the first one we lose, so I'm trying to get first.
Good on you. Well, we look forward to seeing a lot of close battling then for the next few rounds.
Yeah, I'll hope you guys enjoyed this one, and get yourself ready for the next one.
Right, excellent. Look forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, thanks as well for the nice stream and shit.
All right, cheers.
Our pleasure.
See you.
Catch you next week. See you.
I think we can wrap it up at that point, as most everyone else has run off.
I think that's a fair shout. So we still have a decent amount of viewers. Usually, as always, the viewership drops off a little bit as we go into the interviews because all the racing action is done and dusted. But we have indeed finished all the action for the first out of the 6 rounds that we have in this season 8 of the AOR GT3 leagues, the first season on the new Project Cars 2 game. And I have to say, like you mentioned, it was a very good race. So he had that little dead period in the middle, as many GT3 races actually often do. But at the start, a lot of battling. At the end, a lot of battling. And I think it sets off the season in a reasonable way, at least for most drivers, of course, some of them being quite unlucky with issues there at the back. But I'm certainly looking forward to the next 5 rounds. Going to quickly check, actually, unless you remember what track we are at next week.
I didn't remember, but I've already checked. It is going to be a Mercedes stronghold. It is Spa. Spa in the clear. So, yes, that will be the revenge of the Bends, I suspect.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That's even bigger and more straights there for the Mercedes to, leave its praise behind, I guess. But, we'll have to see how that pans out. Maybe, some of the other drivers react to the Mercedes speed and just add some extra low downforce on the car, I guess, to try and counteract it, especially at a track like Spa. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, at the end of the day, Vernox off to the best start here in the season. Jeff and Stu also on the podium, and Johan close behind. So, Chris, it's been a pleasure having you along in the commentary box.
It's been a great honour to be alongside the legend of Fizzy, and I look forward to the season to come.
Yeah, indeed. So, with that, of course, want to thank everyone who has been watching the stream, especially those 60 of you who are still here right at the end. Thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the action, and of course next Wednesday we will be back at the same time around 8 p.m. UK time, assuming no delays, and that will be over the Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. Hope you'll join us again, and good night.
Good night.